Jesus and the early followers, he called them, he championed them, he coached them, he commissioned them. And I just think that is our same responsibility. I just think missional mobilization really comes down to multiplication, and multiplying leaders must become the priority for us to accomplish the Great Commission.
Hey everyone, welcome to Vitals for Youth Ministry podcast. My name is Aaron, director of Lead the Generation. I got the one and only Caleb Leak in the studio here today.
Oh yeah, happy to be a dad. We were just talking about this beforehand.
Yeah,
it's
your kid's growing
better.
up. Yeah, it's awesome. We got the cool fall weather here in Pittsburgh, where we're located at. Steelers
Coming off of
won.
a Steelers win.
Yes,
yeah,
so we're
barely.
everything is good, and to make things even better, we got the one and only Joseph Kellogg as our guest today.
Heck yeah.
What's up, my guy? It is good to see you.
Yeah,
It's always good to see you. And glad that you're with us today. Thanks for joining us.
It's an honor.
Heck yeah, bro. Well, and it's so fun because I was one of your interns years ago. But
That's
for
right.
people who don't know you, because me and Aaron know you, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you're doing in ministry right now, maybe how long you've been in ministry, that kind of thing.
Yeah, man. Caleb, always great to see you. And Aaron's the GOAT. And it's love talking youth ministry and love all that God's doing with this resource and in and through Vitals as well. And just so much. I know that your audience already knows that. But man, I've been in youth ministry now for 24 years.
Let's go.
August 1st, 2001 is when I rolled onto the parking lot of a church in South Oklahoma City to become a youth pastor. And I've had the privilege to work at a few amazing churches over these last 24 years. Always had my foot in the youth ministry. I've spent some time doing executive ministry and spent some time doing next gen. But even through that, through our ministry, Healthy Youth Ministry, I've still kind of been active in youth ministry. But now, for the last 3 months, I'm back in Oklahoma, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, at an amazing church called Victory Church. And I am now the lead youth pastor. So back in the seat of leading a local youth ministry, and it has been an absolute blast these last 3 months. And so, a student of youth ministry, love youth ministry. Been doing it for 24 years, been married for almost 23 to my bride, Courtney. And we have four kids. 2 young adults that are in college at Southeastern University. And then I have 2 daughters there. And then I have a daughter that's a sophomore in high school who's very active in volleyball. And then I have a son who is in 3rd grade, just as true. And he's playing 3rd and 4th grade football, which that's a whole new
Let's go.
I've done mostly volleyball and soccer. And so now we're in football world, which is super fun. So that's a little bit about me.
Dude, that's your world, man. That's awesome.
We love the local church, and it's been an honor and privilege to get to walk alongside young leaders and help students know Jesus and make him known.
Hey, Joseph, you also have an organization called Healthy Youth Ministry. You do a lot of coaching, leadership development. This is probably actually the way that you and I connected, because we're both running ministries that kind of run in the same lane. And so it's been cool to cheer one another on. I know that you have a big conference coming up here soon. Dude, I'd love for you to tell everyone about it and how people can get more information on it.
Healthy Youth Ministry started in 2017. It started out as a 1-day conference, and then we moved it to a 2-day conference. And then in 2023, I actually started doing coaching and consulting. Again, a lot like what you do, Aaron, and helping the local church in that way. And so, this would be year number 9.
Come on.
And we're in a new location. We're actually, I transitioned a few years ago. And we kind of kept it in the same location, but with me moving and being back kind of in the saddle the way I am now, we decided to move the conference with us here at Victory Church in Tulsa. So new location. Around the same year, and it's time of year, and it's actually October 6th and 7th. So 6, 7.
Oh my God.
Is it's a conference that it's a Monday and a Tuesday, Monday night and a Tuesday. and really is a conference that is we always kind of say it's less than a conference, more of a community, just creating space. I just feel now more than ever, youth pastors and leaders need space to just worship and not feel like they're in charge of the service. We have great practitioners and pioneers in youth ministry, some of the best investing through our breakouts and things like that. So you can go to hymconference.com for more information about Healthy Ministry Conference and coaching. Thanks for that.
Yeah, bro. And I've been to HYM Conference, and I actually helped run it back when I was an intern.
Yep.
And I'm so thankful for your ministry and how you pour into young leaders and how HYM Conference is really it changed me, because I left last year being like, woo, I got a lot of things to work on, a lot of things to mess with. And it was real good for me. So I appreciate you, bro.
That's awesome.
And we every time we have this podcast, we love bringing people in youth ministry on, because they always have a funny story of either them doing something stupid or a youth ministry story of them doing something stupid, right? Because it just follows all youth pastors like a plague that we can't escape. It just seems that way. And so, Joseph, you've been in ministry for a long time, which means you probably have many stories. Some you probably won't want to share, because this will live online in perpetuity. So just know that. Some people don't know that. But go ahead, take the floor, bro. We'd love to hear your story.
Yeah, it really is. And I'm sure all of us can share. I think why youth pastors have so many stories is because we work with teenagers. And if they're in the church or outside the church, they're going to make some moments and memories happen. And it's funny. The parents of this person actually knows this story. When I first got in youth ministry, I'm in my early 20s. I had an intern named Michael that straight up teen wolfed rode on top of the church van. So and some of the younger leaders have to reference Teen Wolf, but that wasn't good.
Caleb's looking it up on ChatGPT right now.
I actually don't know what that is.
And we used to try to get air in our church van, like with speed bumps as well. Kids just hitting the top of that ceiling in Jesus' name. But one of my favorite stories I like sharing is it might have been my second year of youth ministry. We're doing a Christmas, game night type thing. And I had these kids, they were eating like fruitcake logs, which fruitcake in itself is disgusting. Sorry for all the fruitcake lovers out there. But this kid looks up at me. His name was Jacob. I still remember his name. He looks up at me and he's like, I don't feel good. And I'm like, just go, just keep going. And he throws up. And this is the service at the beginning, the games, the service. So he throws up on the carpet, right? And our stage was like only this tall, but he throws up and I'm just like, no. And I didn't know, we didn't have time to clean it up. We're about to go into worship. And so I take a missions banner off the wall and Big Daddy style, Adam Sandler, put the banner over the throw up and the service went on. And so I don't know if students were crying during worship because the Lord was moving, or the smell was just messing with them out there, just trying their best. So that's one of my favorite stories, because it was just iconic the way it all went down. And the service went on, but also I don't play any games with fruitcake anymore. That was
during the food game era.
Bro, it really was. I grew up in that kind of.
That was a strong era right there.
I was a student who probably was thrown up in one of those.
Well, the food era plus Fear Factor era.
Yeah.
I did a series maybe in 2004, fall of 2004. I did a series called Fear Factor, and we did all sorts of stuff. Yes, the early 2000s, late 90s. There's some games that we shouldn't play. And if you ever got Joy Carpenter's book, shout out. Those games, half of those games you shouldn't play either today.
You're done. They're done. We're done with that era.
Oh, man. Not having cameras around, not having video, like students being able to take video, it just opens a world of possibilities of things that you could do and get away with back then.
I don't miss that era of youth ministry. I'm glad it's been retired and put in the grave. I don't ever want to see it come back, but we survived.
I'm nostalgic.
Kids survived, but
I remember I like thinking about no cell phones, because now students, it's like they're paparazzi,
Right.
in Harlem on a mission trip in 2005, had a taxi come up beside me. And this is, again, Caleb, you're gonna have to research some of this. This is like we didn't even have, I didn't even have time to print out like a map quest. I'm just following the van in front of me. I'm in Harlem. And there's about 30 students. I have my van, and a taxi tries to cut in front of me, but I didn't see it. And but I'm the last vehicle trying to hit all these lights in New York. And so my tire, kind of like a NASCAR, goes all the way down the side of this taxi. And this guy's yelling at me. And I'm like, if we would have had cameras, our students would have been filming the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Oh,
But
yeah.
I ended up getting petty cash out and paying this taxi driver off.
No way.
Did you get a receipt so you could turn that in? Or
No, we did not. We did not get the receipt on that one.
You couldn't swipe the Divvy card on that, take a picture of that real quick. I mean, come on.
But I kind of wish, when I look back, I kind of wish that I wish students would have had cameras in that moment, because it would have been funny to look back on. But yeah, no footage of that.
Man, this is fun. Like, anytime I get to hang out with you, Joseph, just kind of like relive some of, like, because we both started in youth ministry the same year. You started 2001. That's when, me too. And so it's kind of it's a little reminiscent, and I'm also really grateful. I'm like, I'm glad I survived, and then
Right.
we're better for it now. But I love, Joseph, I love the season that you and your wife are in right now, stepping back into the lead youth pastor role at Victory. And again, we've been cheering you guys, each other on for years with, Healthy Youth Ministry and Lead the Gen and everything. But this is cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited about our conversation today, because we want to talk specifically about leadership development, which is one of the 5 vitals. If you're a regular listener, then you kind of, the deal. Vitals for Youth Ministry, 5 vitals found in Acts chapter 2. Biblical truth, spiritual transformation, healthy community, missional living, leadership development. So all that. If you're new to Lead the Gen fam or the podcast, go to our website, leadthegen.com, check out Vitals. We have built a framework for how you can do healthy youth ministry. Sorry, stealing your name there for a second. We built a framework based out of Acts chapter 2. It's all free. Go check it out. Okay, sales pitch is over. But we like to have youth ministry veterans like you, Joseph, on just to talk about specific vitals. So let's dive into leadership development, and specifically kind of talk about, how do we recruit and build our leadership team? How do we mobilize leaders and get them on mission? I know that you're right in the middle of doing that, so this will be great, because we're not just going to get some theories from you, or here's how I used to do it. It's like, hey, here's how I'm doing it right here, right now.
Right.
Yeah. So just jump in, take it from there, and then we'll interrupt you and ask some questions.
No, that's so good. And I'm a champion of everything you guys are doing with Lead the Gen and the vitals, man. What all the work, because you and I have relationship, the work, I'm talking a couple of years you took building that.
Yeah.
So if you're not utilizing it, you should, if anyone's listening and watching. It's been interesting, because I think you and I can both take things from ministry that we learned 20 years ago, 15 years ago, and some of those principles still apply. But it has been fun for me to kind of parachute into a new culture and go, hey, we need to move this thing to the next level. And there's just some little things that I've done practically. Like I bought a brand new Bible, because I was like, hey, I don't want to live off of yesterday's highlights. I want to, even as I'm preaching, I want to not just preach old stuff, but fresh revelation. And the same thing with like my computer. Like, I have all my old stuff on old hard drives. I can use some of that, but you kind of have to take an assessment. Even use that word parachute. Think about World War II, parachuting into a new place, and you're kind of familiarizing yourself. And then what is our action? Where are we moving from here? So it really has been fun to take my past experiences, but also contextualize them to where I'm at today. And if there was a title of our conversation, I would maybe title this Mobilizing Leaders for a Missional Youth Movement. Mobilizing Leaders for a Missional Youth Movement. And I'll tell you, Aaron, I think for me, I'm I don't want to lead your mama's youth group anymore, if that makes sense. Like, this ain't your mama's youth group. This is where this is a movement.
Yeah.
I would even say, like, there's youth group, youth ministry, and youth movement. I grew up in rural towns in Oklahoma and Arkansas, and we would have snack time in the middle of our youth service. It was very much a youth
Come on.
group.
Right.
It was
Bring that. We need to bring that back.
That's right. Great value cookies. You know what I'm saying? And it was a youth group, and we were reaching students, but dude, we were out matching shirts and we, we had a great gathering. And then a youth ministry, I think a youth ministry becomes like, it starts serving the local church. You're reaching some of the community, but a youth movement to me is about local and global impact. It's helping students have a biblical worldview and a global worldview. And that's what I'm committed to. I think, why am I back in youth ministry and in this context? Because I just believe in the next generation. And I believe it's the epicenter of life change and helping, disciple students to know Jesus and make him known. So rewind that to that statement, mobilizing leader for missional youth movement. To really mobilize a generation of students of Gen Z and Gen Alpha, it takes leaders. For us to have a crowd, it doesn't take a lot of leaders. For us to do a big event, you just need, hey, we need some security, we need some safety, I need someone to lead worship. But man, I can have a massive group of students with a handful of leaders. But for us to disciple a generation,
that's it.
And help them live missional lives, I need leaders. I need that. So I guess to kind of bring you into, we'll call it like our youth ministry locker room. I just think our responsibility is to champion, coach, be a discipler, to help turn followers into missional disciples. That's what it's going to take from us. And really, let's look at that through the lens of how Jesus did it. 1 John 2:6 says, if you claim to live in him, you must walk as Jesus did. I believe he is the archetype. He is the model for us to follow when it comes to developing leaders, mobilizing leaders. There's even this insight that I've been sharing this year that the Lord gave me, of even Jesus sending out the 72. Beyond the 12, like, how did he mobilize the 72 to live missional lives? And so, but I think about Jesus asking the disciples to follow him, Matthew chapter 4, 18 through 20. But he's like, Jesus is walking along. He sees Simon and Peter, or he sees Simon, also called Peter, and Andrew. And he says, follow me. I'll show you how to fish for people. They left their nets. They followed him. A little further, we know the story. He asked James and John the same thing. And there was an exchange that took place. They exchanged kind of common ground for new ground. They fish. It says they fish for a living. This was their livelihood. But Jesus called them up and out. He called them. They saw something in them and pulled it out of them. And we see this not just in this moment, but over and over throughout the Gospels. And I think about this exchange. They went from smelling fish every day to being around the fragrance of the Father. And I know that to preach, but that's what they did.
Yeah.
And they left old nets for a new message, modern, like mundane living, like just every day, to missional living. And I think that's this invitation is the same invitation Jesus is calling us to invite others into missional living. And as for leaders, we're inviting them into to mobilizing a generation. And I really love this quote from Interstellar. He says, "We've forgotten who we are, explorers, pioneers, not caretakers." And I just think, Jesus, like, he brought them into something else. There was a moment of invitation. There's a moment of impartation, so that they could live a life of impact. And so I just think our responsibility as youth pastors and leaders, Jesus and the early followers, he called them, he championed them, he coached them, he commissioned them. And I just think that is our same responsibility. We need to call greatness out of leaders and students. We need to champion them. We need to celebrate them. You celebrate what you want repeated. We also need to coach them. What you ignore, you accept.
Yeah.
And so, and when we see something, a behavior, and we've got to coach them up to lead more effective lives, and then commission them to lead the way. And so I just think missional mobilization really comes down to multiplication, and multiplying leaders must become the priority for us to accomplish the Great Commission. It has to become so vital, to use your word, that leadership development. And I'll just say this, and I know we can have some dialogue. Me coming into a new setting, taking an assessment, new church. I'm learning the history. I'm learning things, and the beauty about this youth ministry, I've spoke at different events, camps, leadership events for the last 13 or 14 years at this church. So I actually came in with familiarity with the youth ministry. But the first thing I created as we prayed, I created a 4-year strategy. And the last years that we're going to be living is towards a missional youth movement. I've already been sharing that language with students and leaders. Hey, this isn't your mama's youth ministry, man. This is different, man. We're reaching a generation, Tulsa to the nations. Literally, we're starting a series called "Lace Up Your Boots," all about missional living. And so even
great song too.
The way we're talking is all about that. But year one. So year one is make ready. We have to make our team ready for what God's calling us to do. And not just year one, but the first 4 months of year one has been developing our leadership pipeline. So my number one priority and jumping back into youth ministry. So for first-time youth pastors transitioning, or for everyone like for me that grew up with the Nintendo NES, like the original, there was only 2 buttons, power and reset. And sometimes we just got to push that reset button and you start the game over. So any youth pastor, any leader listening, you can push reset and reprioritize. Hey, we need to mobilize leaders so that we can have students live missional lives. And we have to prioritize multiplication. And so that's been our focus. And we have been relentless in recruiting leaders, bringing them through our pipeline so that we can really do all that God's calling us to do. Because the harvest is plentiful, the workers are few.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the first thing I did a data assessment of this Tulsa area, 10-mile radius, Aaron and Caleb, 10-mile radius, there's about 30,000 teenagers.
Wow.
The harvest is plentiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when I got here, they were averaging 15 leaders. How do we reach that many students with 15 leaders?
Right.
Yeah. Can't do it.
And so that's where, I saw the harvest, but the biblical principle, the harvest is plentiful. The laborers, the workers are few. So we need to pray for the harvest workers, but we also need to put a plan together to recruit, to train the harvest workers so that we can mobilize students to live missional lives. But that's going to take us multiplying the leaders.
Right. Dude, first off, you are such a strategic thinker and have always been kind of like a coach when it comes to these things, which is why I think today I'm really excited about this conversation, because I think it's just real practical, especially with you in the trenches. What is something this has just been on my mind as you were talking? What are some of the differences when it comes to mobilizing leaders nowadays than it was when you first started?
Good
and how is your strategy different now?
Yeah, I think a couple things. I think I'm more intentional. Let's reframe it. I think we need to lead with what I would call intense intentionality. So Jesus was very passionate. I think that I've had moments that I've been a little passive where I'm like, hey, if you want to serve, we're doing great work. And you don't want to, and we almost say no for others. You're like, I know you're busy, but instead I'm literally saying, join the movement. We're ready. So there's a little bit more intensity in how I'm communicating to the leaders, and there's a lot more intentionality as well. So I think that has shifted. Also, and you were a part of, the church I served at, they had an internship. Sometimes we have a massive internship like that. You sometimes can and we had a lot of leaders there as well, but you can sometimes be like, I don't have to feel that sense of urgency because I have all these interns.
Absolutely.
And so I think being back in a place, yes, we do have a school of ministry, Victory College, but it's not mobilized the same way.
Right.
And so I'm feeling the pressure and the burden to reach students. So I think the difference would be my intentionality and my intensity with our team. And I would say, because of all my years of experience, I value process way more than just like, hey, what's up? You want to serve? Like, you have to go through growth track. You have to do like some pretty intense training for ministry safe to understand, what it looks like when it comes to keeping students safe. And then we do an onboarding night. It's like about 6 weeks to get you through our process. Now we are creating a fast track for growth track to help onboard leaders a little faster. But I would say the biggest difference is I'm probably a little bit more intense, and a little bit more intentional.
Yeah.
And what I mean by intense is I'm just not giving excuses. I'm looking at young leaders and being like, hey, what are you doing? Man, if you're not serving, where are you serving? We want you, like, man, this generation needs you. Gen Alpha needs you on the front lines.
Yeah.
They need leaders in their life. And so I think we're back in the day, I probably led with more like, hey, would love for you to be a part. And, I don't want to be a burden. But now it's like, no, my burden's for this generation.
Yeah.
And so the way I'm communicating, and I'm not communicating guilt.
Right.
I understand season of life, but I also am not saying no for them. I'm calling them to a higher standard of, man, be a part of our team. Yeah. And I'll say this, and I've said this for years, some leaders sign in pencil, some in pen, some in blood. And I'm going to take all three.
Yeah.
So there's certain leaders that are all in, and then there's certain leaders that, hey, you're going to show up and be a part of our safety team, or you're going to show up and be a greeter. I want you too. You know what I'm saying?
That's good.
But there's other leaders that are going to be a small group leader. They're going to be a team lead. And those are the ones that they're all in no matter what. They're going to be at camp. They're going to be a retreat. And so I want all of them. And so I'm going to meet you where you're at there too. Great question. I gave a really long answer.
No, it's good. No, and it you just have really clear vision to it. It sounds like for your leaders, they know exactly what they're getting into and what the mission is, which is what's great. And yeah, so I guess in that too, like I like that there's the different levels of commitment that someone can get into.
Yeah,
where you don't have to jump all the way straight in if you're not there, but you just want a clear answer. So it's not getting the accidentally by trying to be nice to the leader, like kind of being like, I understand if you can be a part of it, like almost saying no.
There's a lot of wisdom in that too, because a lot of your best leaders in youth ministry, you have to grow them over time. That you don't just inherit them and they're all already at that level of like, oh man, they can crush it for me. And so giving them a smaller commitment up front allows them time to grow with you. My best leaders in youth ministry always started as somebody who said, I'll just come and run security, or I'll just come and help you do this one event.
Right.
And then over the course of the next 3 or 4 years,
it's the gateway drug.
Yeah, they become some of my best small group leaders.
They'll come for more.
Yeah.
Well, I would say too, is something I learned years ago is, how do I connect someone's passion to their purpose?
Yeah.
So I need to get to know where you're at.
Yeah.
And even tonight when we're recording this, like we have our heart and soul. We do this once a month, and it's leadership training for our leaders. And tonight, because we've counting people that are in our pipeline right now, in the onboarding process, which here it is, like dream team process. We're walking you through like these different steps, approved background check, training through Ministry Safe. They have to interview with the staff member. They do shadowing, and before their first serve. And so we've, in the last 3 months, at the end of September, have added 50 new leaders.
Wow.
And I can tell you that that's a freshman that's attending Oral Roberts University, to Johnny and Joy, who've been serving our church for years. Johnny's 65. Joy's a little older. She won't tell you her age. And they're here serving. And so I also don't see it as Man, we're reaching all ages.
Right.
We're reaching all ages. We're inviting the invitations for everyone to serve this generation. And I'm a big believer for teenagers to see different ages serving. They're like, wait, I can live for Jesus at 18 or 25 or 65. There's like, graduation's heaven. And so we're all growing together. And so I think that's something too, is early on, I think I was focused too much on like, oh, they have to be like this. No, man, we're open. We want you to serve this generation. And so I'm going to lead with passion. I'm going to connect them with their purpose, but I'm also going to have a clear pipeline that's going to help establish. So tonight, again, when I'm recording this, our heart and soul, our first 30 minutes is I'm inviting some team leads, potential team leads, for them to oversee teams. And a team lead, this is what allows us to scale. A team lead is overseeing that team, and they're providing 4 things. They're providing care, communication, celebration, and coaching. And so that team lead, that allows us to have more volunteers because they're getting cared for within their team. So I'm meeting with team leads tonight and kind of having like an exit row conversation. This is what we're asking you to do. Do you agree? Say yes. Are you entrusted to be in charge of the exit row? But even that process here, I'll just show you, like, and this, we have a newer one, but like, because I'm new, we created like a almost like we got pictures of all of our leaders. We went to a whiteboard and we just, as a team, started talking who has the team lead potential now, and then who are some people that are trending up, because we have to create these layers of leadership.
Yeah.
I remember a few years ago, I had a former student that played football for the University of Michigan. And so I got to go see him play. My friend Robbie kind of oversees spiritual formation there. And so I got to be in Coach Harbaugh's office when he was at the University of Michigan. And they had a board, and it had the starting left tackle, the second string left tackle, the third string left tackle. And then above that, they had the high school student they were recruiting to eventually be in that pipeline. Wow. And I just think for youth pastors and leaders, how are we seeing like who's the team lead, who's the assistant team lead, who's the ministry lead that oversees that certain area? And so a lot of that kind of pipeline and process actually helps us have more leaders. I got asked the question today, what's going to be harder, year 1 to go from 15 to 50, or year 2, which already we've exceeded our expectations. But I have a 4-year goal that in 4 years that we'll have around 125 to 150 volunteers. And that goal is because, and I have a student leader goal. We started student leadership last week, which that's a part of your farm system. So we have 33 student leaders that just started with VY Crew. And so that's a part of our process. Student leaders will eventually be adult leaders. And so that pathway, but I'm also pretty relentless in our goals. For us to have more leaders, I have to have more places to serve. Yeah. And like youth pastors, I think that's where they struggle. It's like, well, all I got is 15. And I'm like, well, if you don't have other roles for them and responsibilities, they're not going to show up. So I have to keep being creative. And what are different ministry opportunities that we have within our youth ministry? Yeah. I said a whole lot right there. Yeah. But that's that kind of, what's our strategy? What's our process? What's our pipeline look like? And how are we building that out? And I'll even say this next thing. Every week I have a meeting. It's called our build meeting. I literally bring a hammer to the meeting every Tuesday. And it's a focus meeting. It's not our staff meeting. It's not our recap meeting. It's a focus meeting on one thing. And right now, that one thing for 3 months has only been leadership development and this idea of mobilizing. So every week we're in that room. I'm talking building. And I would even say this for everyone, listening. I've been very open with our leaders. We're not trying to act like we have it all together. We're being super honest with them to say, hey, you're coming on to a youth ministry that we're building this together. There's sawdust on the ground. There's things that are incomplete. But you're joining at this level. I'm not trying to be like, hey, we have it all figured out. Here's our our onboarding packet. And it's like, hey, this is, we're still building this as we go. And it gives us permission to kind of grow with them as well. Yeah, so anyway, that was a whole lot, but that's how we've been very intentional about recruiting. And we have our pathway and process when it comes to what happens once they step into that, so that we can track them and know where they're at. And I'll tell you, there's pools to recruit. The lobby is a pool,
Yeah.
If you have college students, that's like this last week, we went to our college service. They have a college service, and we had like an interest table out there, and we connected to student, and we had 20 people sign up.
Let's go.
A part of that's a part of it too. We have these cards, like I'll just even say, it says right here, join the movement, Victory Youth, interested in impacting the next generation. So that's not like, hey, you want to be a volunteer? You want to be a chaperone? No, you've heard it said, we want Sherpas, not chaperones. Sherpa is going to help you summit the peaks, your goals. A chaperone's like the random dude at the school dance. Like, hey, what's up, everybody? And so then the next side, boom, hit that QR code, interested in information. And when you hit this QR code, it's going to be like, hey, do you want to be a part of this? We even started a youth pastor practicum. I'm like, interested in being a youth pastor? Every Tuesday at 3:00, I'm going to invest in you. We have 13 people that signed up for that. So I just kind of boldly, thinking about Jesus, think about these disciples. Jesus goes, hey guys, I know you've been fishing for a living. You want to go fish for men? They're like, wait a second. I don't even know what you're talking about. But he called them to something greater than themselves. Right. And that's what we're mobilizing leaders to see a missional movement. Mobilization is such a big part of that. And so I think you asked that question, what's the difference between 24-year-old Joseph or even 33-year-old Joseph compared to now 44-year-old Joseph? The difference is the level of intensity and intentionality, that I'm inviting them into something bigger than themselves. We even put it right there, join the movement. We're not just saying come be a part of a Wednesday gathering. Right. Asking them for more.
Right.
Joseph, you're so good at, I can tell you're so good at the systems, processes, pipelines, all that stuff. I'm going to assume you probably have seen the same trend that I have seen in the youth ministry world with a lot of youth pastors related to building their leadership team. So here's the two extremes I see most often: either no leaders at all, or the leaders they have are all kids that just graduated from their youth ministry in the last year or 2 years, right? And the common denominator then that I see among all those is a lack of a process or a pipeline, right? So in the last couple of minutes we have, I want you to talk to the youth pastor that is in the average size church with the average size youth ministry, because your context is obviously unique to you, right? You're talking about 50 leaders, 150 leaders and things like that. And I know there's some youth pastors that are like, well, I have like 30 kids in my entire youth ministry. And it's literally just me and two kids who just graduated high school last year. And so they don't necessarily see the need. And this is how I want you to, kind of coach them up a little bit. They don't see the need for developing a process and putting it on paper and saying, here's the process we're going to take all of our leaders through to recruit and to train. So just like put your coach's hat on for a second. Talk to me like I'm that youth pastor and I got 30, 40, 50 kids, but I'm not doing well with leadership recruitment. And I really don't have a process. Like I might be able to fake it through in a conversation and act like I have a process, but I don't really have a written down, like, here's step-by-step what we do. Right. So talk to that youth pastor for a second and coach him up on how to develop a process.
Yeah, I think, and again, because I've led in multiple contexts, I've been at the church of 300 on a Sunday and 30 students. Like that's where I started youth ministry, and realized pretty soon there that some of our best leaders were serving in other ministries. So I would say even to that leader, invite students to the table as well. My first youth ministry, our leadership, we used to do on Sunday, because back in the day we had Sunday night church. So we'd always do like before Sunday night, like 4:00 on a Sunday once a month. But you know who I started inviting to that meeting? Our student leaders as well. We were like bringing them in like that. That was, I think the biggest thing is don't undervalue small. And I started student leadership when I first started in the youth ministry, and like 5-6 students showed up, but dude, they got the best of me. And so I think that kind of concept is like, don't undervalue small. The other thing is don't be the hero. You're the hero maker. And so you're a part of like getting others. I just even remember, Aaron, when I first got in youth ministry, we would go like back in the day, listen to this, Caleb, we would go like at events, like at youth conventions. For lunch, we'd go to the mall. So, because the food court, you had all the different options. Right? And so, but I remember early on in youth ministry, I'm over there eating that pizza, the pizza joint,
Sbarro. Yeah, Sbarro.
Yeah, that's right, baby. And so I'm eating my big old slice of pizza. And early on in youth ministry, around my table was like all the students. And I remember like fast forward 10 years and I'm at the mall at a church event, just eating pizza by myself. and all of our students are with other leaders. And that is success.
Yeah.
Is how do you, because that's how you get more people serving and leading and yes, we have to do our due diligence to make sure that all those leaders are approved, all that stuff, that process is super important. So I just think first off, it starts with a mindset. Hey, I'm going to refuse to do this alone. And I had a mentor that helped me with that. So even like youth camp, I could be the camp counselor, or I can recruit someone to be the camp counselor, and I get to help maybe the guy running the camp, depending on denomination you're from, like the DYD, I can help him run rec if I have a guy. So I just early on decided I'm going to invite more people to the table. So whatever scale that looks like for you, just refuse to do ministry alone.
Yeah.
So that's a mindset. The model is now look at your ministry and go, what roles do we have? Well, I have check-in. I have first-time guests. Maybe we have a concessions. I need some safety. So you might have like 5 or 6, 7, 10 roles. And then from there, you start turning those roles into teams over time. Yeah. And so I just think you look at your ministry and be like, hey, where do I need people? And I'll just say this, shout out to all the kids pastors. Most churches, their kids ministries get this because kids ministry has to meet ratios, those leaders. Right. And I think it would be great for a youth pastor to go sit down with a kids pastor and be like, hey, can you help me process how like all your different leaders? Yeah. And because I just think kids ministry, they can't do kids ministry without leaders. Youth ministry, we can kind of survive with a handful, but you can't thrive with a handful. So slow it down a little bit more. Start with a mindset. Hey, I'm going to refuse to do ministry alone. I'm gonna look for leaders. The way Jesus he saw something, he recognized something in disciples they didn't recognize in themselves. So man, I'm gonna help raise up some leaders. And then what's that process look like? Right. And that process can be simple early on. Hey, we're gonna have a monthly meeting. I'll give you a snapshot of ours. We have a monthly development, and kind of tonight's about development. And I'll just say what we're doing. Again, our heart and soul. Tonight's different because we've recruited all these leaders. We're going to go over every role and responsibility. We're going to walk through, here's all of our different roles and here's all of our different responsibilities. And we want you to sign up for what area you feel most connected to. Yeah. So we're going to slow it down, but then check this out. This is, I'm not preaching tonight. I'm taking Luke 4, 18 through 19, and how Jesus says, man, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me to anoint me to bring good news. So our team tonight will anoint every leader in prayer and worship, and just remind them, you're anointed to set the captive free. So and we need leaders to see a generation set free. You're anointed, like again, laying on them hands and anointing leaders to be like, you're commissioned to lead and love a generation. Yeah. And so that, like, you can do that with 10 or 15. So that night's about development and connection. But then we do a huddle pre and post service every single week. That pre-service huddle is just reminding them what we're doing. And then the post service is celebrating what we did. Yeah. So there are little things you can do that just makes them feel like they're a part of something bigger than themselves. Get a leadership lanyard, do something. So I know we don't have time to get into the nuts and bolts of it, but really it's create what's our positions and what's their responsibilities. Even looking at this, it's like, first time guest team, like, greeters, safety team, check-in team, all those things. It's just giving a couple of bullet points. This is what it means to serve in this area. And so I just think you have to start somewhere. If you're a youth pastor running 30 students, man, you should have 5, 10, 15 leaders. And like keep recruiting that way. And I always use it as like, you're only as strong as that base, you know?
Yeah.
And so for me, that's why I'm so like, this was crazy. I can look at it. I have a 4-year goals. How many dream team I want, how many student leaders, and how many future youth pastors in our practicum. So I have that broken down over the next 4 years. I don't have anything that has anything to do with attendance. All my goals are based off of, I need more leaders. I need more student leaders. Student leaders bring buy-in. And then the youth pastor practicum has to do with stewardship for me. It's a stewardship responsibility I have being this season to not invest in the next generation of future leaders. And so I'm spending time to do that because I just believe in it. And I'm right across the street from Oral Roberts, and we have I have to. But you can see it. I'm basing, hey, 35 to 55 leaders, 15 to 30 student leaders. And then it goes up over the next 4 years because I'm by faith knowing, hey, if I build that infrastructure and more students, because students, when they come, they want to feel seen. They want to feel known. I can't do that all by myself. And so I just think for every youth pastor, refuse to do ministry alone. Bring someone with you. Go to the game, bring someone with you. You go to a hospital, bring someone with you. Just like most of the discipleship moments I've had with students and leaders have been in my car. Like, bring someone with you. And we see that in the life of Jesus. They did ministry on their way, doing that together. And so I just said a whole lot again, but I just think, man, start somewhere. Create those roles and responsibilities, create define where we're heading, and then just be faithful and start building it. And some of you might be like, well, I'll have a staff to meet with. Dude, I used to meet every Monday at 4:00. I invited students to come, and they just helped me dream with the youth ministry. Mm-hmm. And mostly every one of those students are in full-time ministry today.
Wow.
So I just think we have to create space for others to be, even our student leadership. I'm like, hey, I get some leadership. And then I said, hey, what are some ways that you feel we can be more effective as a youth ministry? What ideas do you have? And then they feel buy-in because our high schools are being ran by student council groups. Yeah. Why don't we have like our own version of student council in our youth ministries? Exactly. And then thinking about that leadership responsibility. So anyway, I'm passionate about it. Yeah. But I just think don't apologize. Don't apologize. And I have found myself going, you know what? I need to be, we're trying to reach more students. And I use those numbers. The two numbers I use is do a data analysis of how many students are in your area, which, to be honest, how I did that was just ChatGPT asked how many students go to all these different schools. And it pulled the research for me. And then knowing that it's like 85% of people that say yes to Jesus do so under the age of 18. So I can just look at a leader and be like, hey, we have this many thousands of students. Most people give their life to Jesus before the age of 18. Guess what? We need you to be on the team so that we can reach Gen Z and Gen Alpha together.
Right. Dude, super practical. Yeah. And it's clear your passion, and I feel like every sentence you were given, there was just like some little nugget that so many youth pastors, no matter the context you're in, can take. So, youth pastor, if you're listening, no matter your context, I hope you feel inspired. Yep. It's good to take after so much of this too, to take something and just go after that, to grab something and head for it. And Joseph, if they want to reach out to you specifically too, is there a way that a youth pastor could get in contact with you, ask questions, something like that?
Yeah. The best thing I'm saying, I'm on social on a regular basis. So at Joseph Kellogg on Instagram.
Bro, you're the king of social, dude. You are like better than anyone I know, dude.
Hit me with a DM. Well, this is what I'll say about social, Caleb, is Aaron and I did youth ministry without social.
Yeah.
So I was sending mailers out to students. You know what I'm saying? We were like, so to me, to be in the
Caleb, have you ever sent a mailer out in your life? He doesn't even know what a mailer is.
Put it this way: first time guest got a letter from me.
Wow.
a letter that I signed.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming to our youth ministry.
Bro, we had to lick the stamps. Come on, man.
That's right. We had to walk uphill both ways. It was crazy. But I would say, yeah, hit me up on social. But I am active on my social. The verse says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. I believe out of the abundance of the heart, the fingers post.
Yeah.
And so
It's true.
I'm passionate about my family. I'm passionate about youth ministry. I'm passionate about my local church that I'm serving at. And I'm passionate about football. And so you'll see all those things on my social. And so, yeah, hit me with a DM at Joseph Kellogg. And man, we can do life together in that way.
Man, and I would encourage you, you're a youth pastor, you're listening to Joseph kind of break down all these processes. I'd reach out to him and be like, hey, bro, can you send me copies of that stuff?
Right.
And then even take it a step further, check out Healthy Youth Ministry and consider bringing Joseph on as a coach to get you and sharpen you, man. He's incredible. And you'll get a chance to kind of one-on-one sit with him and kind of break down all this stuff and ask these questions. So, bro, love you, man. Just excited to have you on the podcast again. Honored, really, and just excited for what you're doing in the youth ministry world. The Healthy Youth Ministry Conference is coming up here in just about a month, under a month. And so this podcast will air before that. And so it will still be time for you to just jump on the website and get yourself out to Oklahoma and check it out in person. It'll be awesome. So what a great episode, man. Joseph, thank you. Reach out to him, give him a shout out. Caleb, thank you. And if you're still rolling with us this deep into the podcast, we know you're part of the fam. So help us out. Spread the word about Vitals for Youth Ministry, Vitals for Youth Ministry podcast. Give us a share, give us a like, give us a review, all that good stuff. We got to get the algorithm to work in our favor, right? So, man, excited that you joined us, and can't wait to hang with you again on the next episode of Vitals for Youth Ministry podcast.